So today I'm replacing the rear brakes on my Subaru behind me. I'm going to do both the rotors and the brake pads. In the future, we're probably going to do the ones on the front as well, so stay tuned for future videos on that if you're interested in that procedure. The reason I'm doing this is because the brake pads, because the brake feel it's not squishy. I have nice hard brake pedal feel, but it feels like it's not making good contact on the rotors, where it takes a while for it to slow down. It's not a nice crisp contact and grip. Therefore, I have to plan ahead if I am going to make a stop and start braking early. And so this is bad, and so we need to fix this today on Hoopty Doodle. I'm establishing the jack underneath the car, and then while the wheels are still in contact with the ground, I'm loosening the lug nuts on each wheel, and then I'm jacking the car up fully. And while it's up fully, I am then putting jack stands underneath the car and then setting the car back down on the jack stands, and then I'm removing the wheel to provide access to the actual brakes. Alright, you can see the brake discs here, the rotors do not look great. They have all kinds of weird wear patterns on them. Alright, so first step is to remove this brake caliper right here, and that is held on by these two bolts on the back, and these are 14mm bolts back here. There's this bolt right here, and this bolt down here. And then the caliper should come right off, like that. Alright, and to take these out, it should just pull straight out. If not, a little screwdriver on the edge here. Alright, now we need to remove this brake caliper bracket. So on the back side, we've got a bolt right here holding that bracket on. And another bolt up here. Alright, those are both 14mm again. I'm going to use a breaker bar for this one because it's a little bit harder. And this in theory should pop right off. And if it doesn't, we could thread some bolts in right through here and then push it off. We're supposed to be 8mm threads, and so I happen to have an 8mm bolt here, and I'm going to try and get in here and push this rotor off. There it is. It's loose now. Alright, now I'm going to wash everything down here with brake cleaner. Now brake dust can be very bad to inhale, and that is why I'm using the brake cleaner to wash this off, and I'm not using compressed air or anything like that that would actually blow the dust into the air, where I would be almost guaranteed to breathe it in. You might even want to wear a mask to be extra safe. Now the unique thing to working on the rear brakes is that we have this parking brake drum on the inside of the rotor. So we want to inspect these drum brake pads on here, and these springs are also something you would want to sort of check out. If you were replacing the pads, you'd also want to replace these springs, because these springs can, over time, there's a lot of heat back here and these things wear out. I am not going to be replacing these. They look just fine to me. I never ever used the parking brake on this car. So something else to note on this, and something I probably should have done, is that if you're having trouble getting the rotor off, down on the bottom here there's this little adjuster, and with a screwdriver you can push on these things here and actually decrease the tension on these brake pads here. And you can do that from the back side. So in this car you can see the access port right here, just a little rubber grommet that you can pull that out. And then you have access to that adjuster nut. Alright, so here's my new brake rotor. So to make it easier to get the rotor off again in the future, I'm going to put some anti-seize on this hub here, between the hub and the rotor. On the actual rotor, I'm going to spray it off with brake cleaner. Both sides. We do want to inspect these guys here, because that's not moving very well. It should move in and out freely, like that guy, whereas this guy is stuck. So we want to fix that. Go ahead and pull that out of there, like that. And there should be a little rubber bit on the end here, and then grease on the inside, and this boot here should be in good condition, which it is on this one. I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to re-grease this thing. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and clean off the old grease to a degree here. Make sure I get all the dirt and debris off of it. Clean out this guy here as best I can. And I've also used brake cleaner to spray out the inside of where the little pin slides go. These guys here. Now I'm going to reassemble this stuff, and the easy way to do this is put the little boots in first. Like that. Alright, then I'm going to go ahead and reassemble this, put my guide pins back in here. Alright, so the pin with the bushing goes on the bottom, which in this case is this one over here. And I'm going to reapply. You need to use high temp grease for this. Stick that guy in there. And we'll do the same with the top one. So those guys are all set. Now I can reinstall this onto the car. And for the bolts that hold this on, I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize on these so they will come out easier in the future. Alright, and then these support brackets back here, those bolts should be torqued down to 39 foot-pounds. Alright, then we've got new brake pads right here to go on, and then we also have got anti-squeak brake lubricant stuff here, and so this stuff goes on the back side of the pads right here. We don't need a whole lot of it. And our pads go in to these grooves right in here on either side. Alright, and then the brake caliper, which we've had just resting back here on the link, the rear link for the suspension there. We need to compress this piston here. To do that, I'm going to use just a simple clamp. Alright, now that guy's compressed down in, you can see that, and it should slide over here a lot easier. Alright. That slides over. Now we get our caliper bolts back out, reinstall those. And these caliper bolts on the Forester get torqued to 28 foot-pounds. That's it, job is done. Just to reinstall the wheel. sure to torque the wheel down. That is one of the most important parts of this job. You're going to regret it if you don't. Torque it down to 66 foot-pounds. So those are the rear brakes on a first generation Subaru Forester, and it's going to apply, it's going to be very similar to pretty much any vehicle, but especially early Subarus. And another thing to note, if you're doing it correctly, you're also doing the front brakes at the same time you're doing the rear brakes, and vice versa. And appropriately, I'm going to have another video on the front brakes as well. So I'm breaking them up to make it simpler to just pay attention to one, the front or the rear at one time. But if you can do the rear, you can definitely do the front. So very similar procedure for either one. And I'm also going to have a video on rebuilding the brake caliper as well, because I'm going to need to do that on the front brake. Spoiler right there. See you next time. Thanks for watching this video, and keep on wrenching, everybody.